Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Venus is currently combust under the beams of the sun and going through a purification process that will take place over the next couple of weeks prior to her Kazemi and then subsequent rebirth as an evening star. We're going to take a look at this today from the standpoint of your horoscopes. Before we do that, I'll also talk a little bit about the meaning of Venus in this part of her synodic cycle and give you some sense of what to watch for in general before breaking your horoscopes down. That's our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. We have done some research and found that many people watch the channel that are not yet subscribed. So take a second, click the subscribe button. It helps us grow our business and community so much. We really do appreciate it. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. A couple of things I want to turn you on to. If you head over to the website next Thursday night, I am giving my webinar for the month of December. If you go to the live talks under events page, you will see my talk on December 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern is on the 11th house. This house was associated with some of the subjectively best karma that we have in our lifetimes. Why? We're going to talk about that in addition to why this house is so much more than just a place of community or groups. Most people don't know that, so I hope that you'll find this talk really educational. The other thing happening right now, of course, is our 12th annual Kickstarter campaign. We are in the midst of, as I'm making this, we've gotten off to a good start, but we still need a lot of support by New Year's Eve to get to 2,043 backers, which is our goal for this year. When you pledge to support this channel and all the free content we produce 7 days a week, year round, you can also pick up some really great rewards. You can scroll down along the side to see all the rewards that we offer. The Astrology of 2026 video, horoscopes for the year ahead. These are all exclusive to the Kickstarter. A bunch of previous masterclass bundles, some horary readings. Also, the class passes are easily the best deal of the year. This is the biggest sale we ever run on our classes. When you bundle our classes together, you get 50 all the way up to 70% off the cost of studying at Nightlight. So thank you again to everyone who's already donated and supported the channel. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, please take a second. You can find the link in the description of this video or the pinned to the top of the comment section. Head over there. Every single donation counts and matters. This is how I support myself, my family, a team of people behind the scenes at Nightlight. And it's a big part of how we make sure that everything we do is really accessible. That's a core part of our vision at Nightlight, is to make all of our pricing affordable for people who might be hurting, so that no one's ever priced out or turned away from astrological education. And that's why we don't put paywalls or subscriptions on any of this content year round either. So anyway, on that note, thank you again. All right, let's turn our attention now to the real-time clock. And what we're going to take a look at here is the process that Venus is undergoing. Where did my epic pen go? It's missing. Oh, here you are. Okay. So what I want you to notice here is the position of Venus and Mars. They're actually both combust right now. We'll be talking about Mars's combustion and rebirth in a separate video, but they actually happen close together. I'll show you how this works. We're going to move this along by some days here. And first of all, as we are listening to this, Friday, December 12th, Venus is about 6 degrees away from the sun. As soon as Venus is within 15 degrees of the sun, she begins her process of transformation, purification, breakdown. Just like Mercury, when Mercury is combust, it typically coincides with some of the more difficult experiences for Mercury as Mercury is being reborn, kind of reborn in the furnace of the sun. So this was, for traditional astrologers, a debilitating condition for the planet under the beams of the sun. But sometimes that word doesn't do justice to what's actually happening, which is quite beautiful alchemically. When Venus gets closer and closer to the sun, between now and the end of the year, you're going to see her degree proximity gets closer. So here she is in late Sagittarius, right around Christmas, moving into Capricorn on Christmas Eve. And then she's within 3 degrees of the sun, while the sun, who moves faster than Mars, is within 3 degrees of Mars. This is a very rare and interesting configuration for two planets to be resetting their synodic cycles at the same time with the sun. The lovers, Venus and Mars, are being reborn in January through this moment. So here we are going to drag this forward just a little bit. We're going to see that Venus comes into the same degree as the sun on January 5th. So between now and early January, Venus's combustion is underway, and it has been for a couple weeks. But as this gets closer and closer, the intensity and the heat gets turned up. We'll talk more about that in a second. You can see Venus's cazimi here on January 5th. If I keep going with this, you're going to notice that the cazimi with Mars then takes place around January 7th into the 8th, and then is complete on the 9th. Sun starts separating fully within a degree by about the 12th. So between now in December and about the same date in January, we have the combustion and reset of both Venus and Mars. So December 12th to January 12th, we just mapped out a full month where we're seeing this take place for both planets. Today, I want to focus on Venus and talk about what that close proximity means. First and foremost, and I think it becomes really important to mention this, that this is a pattern that recurs with Venus. And so when Venus emerges from this combustion, it will happen through the cazimi, and then gradually she will rise and emerge as the evening star. That is a kind of rebirthing of Venus. So what comes just before that, that's the combustion, where she moves closer and closer to the sun prior to the cazimi, is thought of as her purification or her death. There are different metaphors that can convey the same thing. Venus is going through a kind of crucible. I think it's a good time to sit down and track what that might be looking like as she's going through Sagittarius. Now, it's going to carry over into Capricorn, and in early January, we'll be re-looking at this from the standpoint of Capricorn. But for now, her combustion, her death, her transfiguration, and some of the more difficult things that might mean, or some of the deeper work we might be doing, will be taking place in Sagittarius. So just first of all, when it comes to what to watch for, I don't have a formal list today, but anything Venusian can be going through a process of death and rebirth between now and about the middle of January. It'll be extended beyond that if we take Venus all the way toward her morning or her evening star phase. But just broadly speaking, for the next month, you may be noticing that Venus is kind of slowly burning down and then rising back up gradually in the new year. What that often means for relationships is that some feature of a relationship or certain area of our life and the relationships in that area of life are undergoing great change. They may be under great stress. They may be ready to let go of or release old patterns. Those relationships can be marriage, or they can, with lovers, they can be with friends. Sisters or women are frequent for Venus, but any kind of friendship, colleagues in the workplace, social circles, social networks, friends, really any kind of relationship can be put to the test during such a period, or go through healing or purification. Venus has to do with sexuality, with style, with how we look for and experience pleasure, and so a refinement or change of style. I thought it was so fascinating that as Venus started coming under the combustion, very, very gradually, I noticed one of my daughters saying that she feels like she's wanting a different style of her clothing. This is the first time, she's just about to turn 10, that I can ever remember her having such a distinct moment of wanting to change styles. What's interesting is she has a bunch of planets in Sagittarius. So as soon as Venus entered Sagittarius and is already under the beams of the sun, but that proximity got closer and closer, she started really vocalizing that need for change. That would be common if you've got a bunch of planets in Sagittarius, you have a strong identification with that sign, that there might be something a little bit different for your style, that you're something of the Sagittarius part of you that wants to express itself. I thought it was interesting. I said, well, what's the new style? And one part of the new style that she's envisioning is a lot of her classmates, her good girlfriends, are starting to wear athleisure wear. It's like so Sagittarius, you know? Anyway, I don't want to be so restricted in movement. I need some like stretchy pants that are like yoga pants, like mom wears sometimes. Okay, so The idea, though, is a change of style for Venus, a change of taste, a change of what gives or provides pleasure. All Venusian refinements that can happen, sometimes also because things lose their luster. It's like, that's just not as attractive anymore. It doesn't taste as good anymore. It doesn't feel as good anymore. Even changes in, your intimacy and what you're doing or how it's making you feel. Relationships go through phases of, patterns in lovemaking that can change or shift, and not necessarily because anything's broken, but just because it's time for something has just lost its appeal. Like, oh, we're in a pattern, let's shift the pattern. All Venusian. Now, the other thing that can be important is to simply look at the whole sign house. So what I want to do next is simply point out the whole sign configuration of Venus and the sun. And by doing this, what we're going to get to is I have a list of 3 things to watch for given every single rising sign combination. So we're going to go through these, and I want you to start thinking about what this purification, this part of Venus's cycle, the purification stage, let's call it, might look like for you. But if the word purification feels too heavy, or if it doesn't quite click, you could think of a refinement of Venus, a change or transformation or healing for Venus, a death and rebirth for Venus, a changing of appearance for Venus. Play with it a little bit, but know that the combustion in a fire sign, getting closer and closer to the sun, can have a very purifying effect. So I think that's a really apt metaphor for this particular Venus retrograde. It'll look and feel a little bit different when it gets into Capricorn. But okay, let's put the chart on the screen. All righty. So we're going to roll through these sign by sign, and I'm going to give you 3 things to watch for. Now, if you are an Aries sun or rising, Venus is going through her transformation right now, her purification in the 9th house. So I'm going to give you some purifying, refining, and cleansing ideas for that house. Number 1 would be, this is the 9th house, a Dharma house of belief, faith, and wisdom. Are you purifying beliefs about love, removing dogma or fantasy in spiritual or romantic relationships, or the ideals that you have for them? That would be very fitting for Venus in this house. Are you refining which teachers, teachings, or traditions align with your heart, align with your creativity, align with what you love or how you love, or what brings pleasure or joy? Are you cleansing some level of false optimism, choosing devotion over escapism? What does real optimism look like? Venus is a planet of a benefic that often in a Jupiter-ruled sign is going to be connected to optimism and the kind of optimism that gives pleasure. So what is the real kind? So those are some 9th house things to think about if you're an Aries. Let's go to Taurus, where we move into the 8th house. Let's talk about purifying, releasing, cleansing work with Venus in this house, a moksha house of shared resources, sometimes loss, deep work, things that we fear, that we're entangled with, that we have to let go of. So purifying entanglements tied to things like money or debts or emotional obligations to other people. Number 2 on my list would be releasing any kind of manipulative or seductive relational dynamics. So they could be conscious, they could be unconscious, but are there exchanges in your life that are seductive or manipulative or not reciprocal in some way? Do they need to be cleansed, healed, released? Cleansing intimacy wounds, wounds that keep you bonded through fear instead of trust, wounds that keep you indebted rather than free within any kind of shared emotional space with other people. So for Tauruses, these are the things that I would watch for as Venus is sort of cleansing herself right now in that house. For Geminis, we're looking at Venus purifying, going through the purification in the 7th. So I've got some purifying, cleansing dynamics here. A house of karma, pleasure, bliss, marriage, partners, agreements with other people. Purifying relational desires comes to mind, letting go of fantasies projected onto partners, cleansing imbalanced exchanges, creating equality in giving and receiving, or even trying to understand the motivations within a relationship, behind attraction, behind commitment, behind conflict patterns. What are you being asked to see and understand at a deeper level to cleanse and purify? Remember that the conjunction with the sun ultimately is about greater wisdom emerging for the planet, in this case, Venus. So, what does that greater Venusian wisdom look like in relationships right now? All right, let's go to Cancer, where we see Venus going through her purification phase in the 6th. This is an Arta house, a place of work, service, and health. We're talking now about purifying your relationship to something like service, removing resentments or martyrdom. That could be this could mean that there's a time where you have to look at the kind of work, sacrifice, and daily grind that you actually like. It's not a sin to actually like something that's hard. In fact, it's a lot easier if there's some little sense of value or like being derived from the hard things we do, the daily work, grind, and sacrifices. Does this need purifying? Cleansing of daily routines. What are the kinds of pleasure-seeking habits that actually undermine your health or productivity? And then finally, releasing perfectionism, whether it's around work or body image, anything that's rooted in comparison, jealousy, competition, envy, conflicts with coworkers, conflicts with people that you work with or for. How is the transition taking place if you have people you hire within how they work for you or what kinds of jobs they do? That would also be something that could be going through a healing or transformation right now. Now, for Leos, we're looking at the 5th house. This is a Dharma house connected with creativity, children, and joy. What does purification or cleansing look like in this house right now? Well, thinking about purifying creative motives, maybe shifting from performance and validation to authenticity. There's nothing wrong with being a performer, but if you're performing seeking validation because of a broken ego, then maybe the ways in which you're creating or expressing are not as authentic as they could be because they're trying to overcompensate for something. Purifying your creative motivations in life, cleansing romantic expectations. This is a very romantic placement, Venus in the 5th. The house was called the Joy of Venus. What can you cleanse around romantic interactions, expectations, fantasies that maybe hinder true intimacy, as well as those fantasies that are somehow necessary for actual pleasure to exist? So refining the pleasure impulse and pleasure dimension of relationships, and romance. And then finally, I would say refining the way that you express affection so that joy comes authentically in the relationships you have with other people, even kids or children or parenting in this house. We're talking about real joy, real affection, real authentic connection with other people that is being looked at or explored or changed right now for Leos. Now, for Virgos, we're going into the 4th house, a moksha house associated with home, roots, emotional ground. What, for purifying and cleansing, what emotional attachments need purifying, especially those tied to family approval, inherited patterns of relating that come from the family, maybe cleansing the home environment of objects or relationships that no longer nurture the heart. Marie Kondo saying, does this spark joy? If not, I'll let it go. That comes to mind. Releasing of sentimental clinging to past loves or old versions of yourself. That could also be appropriate for this very inner private space of the 4th house and Venus's transformation there. So home, family, emotional ground, home environment, parental patterns, all related to pleasure or love, going through a process of purification. We go on to Libras. For Libras, the Venus purification is taking place in your 3rd house, Kama, a place of joy or bliss, communication, siblings. This is a place that a lot of effort to cultivate a self-satisfied ego takes place. And I love that Vedic interpretation of this house. Refining your communication habits, removing flattery, avoidance, softening anything that's disingenuous. You could be purifying motivations behind daily activities or efforts, choosing meaningful over merely pleasant tasks, releasing old relationship patterns with siblings or peers, maybe where harmony has been maintained at the cost of honesty. So relationships with siblings, joy and meaningfulness in your everyday work environment or everyday environment, refining communication habits, something about your mind, mental, or emotional makeup that needs to be refined or changed so that your ego is more harmonious with other egos. That could be a thing for Libras right now, even though Libras don't tend to struggle with the, sharp egos, Libra rising, of course, every chart's unique, but this could be a time to refine that ego. Let's go to Scorpio, where the purification of Venus is taking place in the second house. Arta, resources, livelihood, values, security, and wealth or assets in the material world. Well, could you be cleansing financial dependencies or unhealthy spending that's perhaps rooted in emotional needs? Or could there be some value system materially? What I spend, what is my time, energy, money, effort going towards? What do I want? What do I desire materially? Could there be some purification or transformation happening there? Releasing attachments to comfort so that genuine stability can emerge from disciplined choices. I'm going to stop spending on the credit card because it's destabilizing me over and over again, and I'm in a bad pattern. And although, retail therapy helps me feel better in the moment, it destabilizes me in the long run. So deeper changes with respect to pleasure and material things could be at play here for Scorpios. You can see the way that we're working this tension. We're just asking the same question. How does purification or cleansing take place given the topics of the house and the nature of Venus? So for Sagittarians, you've got it in your first house: dharma, identity, character, individual essence. Purifying desires about who you're trying to please. Venus in the first house is likable, attractive to other people. But when it goes through a change, it's like, get rid of people-pleasing patterns, or get rid of a version of yourself that maybe has gotten positive feedback but doesn't really feel like you. Or maybe it's about taking some feedback because people think you're annoying. People find you obnoxious. Why? Understand it and then refine yourself. Yeah, we all have to do that from time to time. Maybe that's what's happening. Refine, not to be hard on my Sages out there. Refine your aesthetic or personal style to better reflect who you are. So I wrote all these down: refining aesthetic or personal style as a better reflection of your true nature. The aesthetic, the adornment, the things we wear match something about who we are. Clarifying relational boundaries so your life path isn't dictated by others' needs or projections. So interestingly, identity and the conversation around identity in relationships comes up as a transformative potential of Venus in her purification phase in this house. All right, let's go to Capricorn. So with Capricorn, we're looking at the 12th house, a moksha house, a place of spiritual liberation, especially from things that undermine us or that are unconscious. This is a place of otherworldliness, solitude, and spirit. The ego loses control frequently in this house. Well, this could be about purifying hidden desires. Like if you have a problem drinking or spending or with impulsive choices around pleasure, this could be a real time to look at that. Where has longing and pleasure seeking become escapism and self-destruction? Cleansing old karmic attachments that are unhealthy around love, sex, marriage, relationships, secret relationships. Also gossip. Like quite frequently gossip with this Venus in the 12th will often show up when there's unhealthy gossip patterns. Releasing, which entangle us with other people, and then when drama explodes around gossip, it often serves to liberate us from that pattern so that we don't entangle ourselves in other people's karma. Releasing unconscious patterns of avoidance is also a part of this. If we are someone who avoids intimacy, this could be a space where getting closer to someone by getting rid of the fears and stuck patterns that keep us from really deeply connecting. So you can go in different directions with this. All right, so those are some things to look at for Capricorns. For Aquarians, we're talking about the 11th house. The place, it's a karma house, has to do with bliss, happiness, pleasure in community, friends, hopes, social aspirations, purifying your social sphere. If there are networks socially, groups socially, friendships socially that are built on things like convenience, flattery, superficiality, wealth, vanity, it's time to let those go. If you have long-term aspiration, goals, or dreams that have been shaped by cultural desire rather than soul desire, it's time to let those go. If you need to refine the role you play in the social position or world you inhabit, moving from popularity to alignment, or moving from the right group the right role in the right group, something like that. So social refinement in general. All right. Last but not least, Pisceans with the 10th house, your career house, the Arta house, a worldly house, a material house, purifying your public image, shedding roles that you've worn for approval or popularity rather than actual calling. Maybe that's it. Not easy work, but you might be really feeling like that's what you have to do right now. Refining professional relationships to align with integrity and mutual respect. So if there are social/professional workplace types of relationships that need to be better or healthier somehow, this might be the time to do that. And then cleansing your ambitions, shifting from desirability, status, popularity, anything that's vain to something that has to do with right contribution. I'd rather be really good at something and really useful and helpful with the thing I'm really good at than really popular and prestigious and powerful, right? How can we shift that? Ironically, often when people shift that, they become very influential. Trying to be an influencer usually gets you looking like someone who's trying to be an influencer. Being someone who's really good at something and works from the heart at what they love often leads to being an influencer. But that refinement or reorientation of priorities is something that sometimes needs to take place. I find myself doing that, even as an astrologer. It's like I have to constantly check in and go, why am I doing this? What am I trying to achieve? Am I trying to be someone of influence, or am I just trying to do what I love? Every time I get back to doing what I love, the work does better. And so I think that shift of orientation, sometimes it's as simple as that with the Venus purification in the 10th. All right. So I thought that would be a pretty fun angle to take on Venus's movement through the flames as she's alchemizing right now. I hope that this was useful for you. I'm going to sign off now. Remember, we are trying to get to 2043 backers. We desperately need your help. If you listen to this channel and it gives something positive to your life, if the content and the laughter and the new things you learn about astrology, the insights you gain, if you get one a year, two a year, or even if you get one a week, then consider chipping in $5. No skin off your back to support an entire community and staff of people who make sure that this content keeps coming out year round. It is a heroic team effort to do this, and it really happens thanks to your generosity and support. And make sure that you pick up some nice rewards when you donate. We have lots of them to choose from. I'll tell you about them next. Take it easy, everyone. Bye. Hey, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that are available when you donate and support this year's Kickstarter. Remember, our goal is to get to 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve, and your contribution makes a huge difference. But when you do contribute, there are a variety of really cool gifts that we offer only once a year through the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to take you over to the Kickstarter and tell you about what those are. You can also find more information about almost all of the rewards on our website, nightlightastrology.com. Any of the programs that you might want to take, all of the details about those programs, their start dates are all located on the website in case that's a question. But at the top, you'll notice on the right-hand side, when you're scrolling down on the Kickstarter, you're going to see the different rewards that are available at different pledge levels. The basic pledge level is the Astrology of 2026 calendar. This is a really nice PDF calendar that we make that gives you a feel for what transits I'm going to be covering on the channel as the year goes on. It's also really nice to know what the transits of the year are day by day. So if that appeals to you, it's the most basic level of pledge, and you can get that. Scrolling down, you can also bundle any of these. So if you want multiple rewards, you can bundle them upon checkout. You'll see how that works when you're in there pledging. Scroll down a little bit. There's a new talk that I've made. This is a brief talk on the value of silence and having a silent or meditative practice in your life, how you might get one started. And again, just what I see as the value of that for astrologers. Scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the Astrology of 2026 audio and video. This is an exclusive lecture where I break down all of the major transits and astrological signatures for the year ahead. I'm not releasing this anywhere else, so if you want my insights for the entirety of 2026, this is a great reward to pick up. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that I have a guided meditation that I've created for your year ahead. This is more about spiritually, psychologically, emotionally focusing yourself for the year ahead. It's a special kind of guided meditation and visualization that I've created. So if that sounds appealing, you could pick that up. It's called The Oracle Within, a guided meditation. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that my new book, which I plan on starting at the latest by the summer of 2026, you can get in on that chapter by chapter first draft release in audio and text form, just like The Oracle Speaks, my first book that I just finished. This is a new book that I'm starting in 2026. So if you wanted to hop in on the early release for that, you could do that there. Scroll down a little bit more, and the description of that book and what it's all about is right there for you to check out. Year ahead horoscope readings. If you want to receive about 6 hours worth of content going through horoscopes for 2026 for all 12 rising signs, this is a great offering that's going to give you, again, about 6 hours worth of horoscopes for all 12 signs for the year ahead. I'm not releasing anywhere else, so check that out. Then you'll notice as you scroll down a variety of different archived master classes from previous years. There's one on the lunar nodes in ancient astrology. That's about 10 hours worth of content. The magic and mystery of the fixed stars, again, about 10 hours of content. Zen and the art of zodiacal releasing, and the alchemy of the outer planets. These are all lengthy master classes that I taught in previous years, about 10 hours of content per package. So a really great deal on some advanced content there. If you are brand spanking new to astrology, check out Astrology for Complete Beginners. This is a course that we have. It's about 10 to 12 hours worth of content that's meant for people who are brand new to astrology. This is like astrology level 0. So, but if that's you or someone you know who might benefit from just like a basic introduction to astrology, check out that audio video course. You get a website where it takes you through everything. You can watch it at your own pace and time. It's all recorded. The next offering is Ask 3 Horary Questions. You purchase this one and you get the ability to write to me anytime throughout 2026, 3 separate occasions to ask 3 separate horary questions, and I respond to those via email. That's a really great service that saves you significantly off the course of horaries because you're bundling 3 together. So a really nice gift to use for yourself. Ask a couple of questions to me through horary form throughout the year. Scroll down and you'll see that I have only 30 of these. These are year ahead mini readings, very exclusive because I don't give readings anymore. I have students and staff taking clients through a special reading service. So my readings are very limited to classroom spaces, but I have 30 of these exclusive mini readings where I give you my take on your biggest transit for the year ahead in your birth chart. Those are personally recorded and sent to you. Then you'll see the 2025 Masterclass bundle, the 2024, and the 2023. These are, like upwards of 30 hours of content that are going to give you really deep exploration of a variety of topics. So those masterclass bundles are taking multiple series from previous years and bundling them together in one package. And you can see all the topics listed there through the 2025 bundle, the 2024 bundle, or the 2023 bundle. A really great way to package together a lot of intermediate to advanced level content that I've taught in the past. Then if you go down, the new 2026 masterclass series that I'm teaching is on the decans. So if you're interested in learning more about the decans and the upcoming 2026 masterclass, check this out. It's on sale right now through the Kickstarter. Won't be this cheap again. So a really good way to save on joining that program in 2026. If you have any questions about that program, you can find more information on the website through the page that's dedicated to the masterclass. Scroll down and you'll see we also have a new Nightlight Guild membership. This is ideal for people who are already enrolled in Nightlight or in the kind of Nightlight pipeline as students and are looking for more practice, more study at an intermediate to advanced level. We're meeting twice a month and doing live client readings, live horary workshops, a lot of practice with advanced concepts and techniques. So this is ideal for people who are really looking to continue developing within the Nightlight sphere. And so students in Nightlight, check this out, come study with us. This also includes every monthly webinar that I teach on the year, plus twice monthly meetings that are 2 hours each for advanced practice. So really nice to have a guild membership. This is something I've been wanting to develop for a while. Check that out. Scroll down, you'll see both of my wife's herbal apprenticeships, year 1 and year 2. If you like Ashley and her work, her YouTube channel, we own the same LLC. So we just thought we'd throw in her herbal apprenticeships at a discounted rate if you want to join those. And then really our most popular item are the class passes. So you'll see at the very bottom, you can attend 1 Nightlight course, 2 in a bundle, 3 in a bundle, or 4 in a bundle. And what that allows you to do at a really significantly discounted rate, this is our best sale of the year. We only do it through the Kickstarter. In those class passes, you can bundle and take year 1, year 2, year 3 in Hellenistic natal astrology. You can take the horary class, or you can take any yearly master class. And those class passes are going to allow you to then bundle together our programs and go through as many as you want. You could bundle 2 of them together, 3 or 4, or just 1. And it's going to be the best sale that we have on our courses for the year. So those are the different rewards we offer. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. We deeply appreciate your support, and I hope that in exchange for donating and supporting this free content year-round, that you will also find a valuable reward in one of these offerings. Remember that your donation supports a staff of people, myself, my family, the free production of all of this content year-round. We deeply, deeply appreciate your contribution. All right, hope you're having a great day. See you later. Bye.